The thing I love most about the anime released in January is that they always invoke a warm and bright sense of optimism for the new year. Even though the last may have turned out bad, you can always trust that the January selections never fails to provide a cavalcade of warmth and tenderness to brighten things up. Whether this is just an instinctive drive of excitement for something new, or a subconscious New Year's spell of nirvana we all become afflicted with, there always seems to be this lingering enigmatic sense of warmth and euphoria that permeates an atmosphere of tender calm and peace. I say cry, I say cry, I say cry, it's the second time I must say, like when was this love, like when it took by outside and feel it. Good lord, what horrible monster would do such a terrible thing? But honestly, I think I did a pretty good job at summarizing the whole show in a minute or so. Well, anyway, welcome to my young, burgeoning channel, my fellow mortal fool. I am the Desk Raven, Raviel. I am a relatively new YouTuber on the block with neophyte skills in video editing, but in spite of that, I hope I managed to leave a lasting impression on you. But enough about me, let's get on with the reason why you're here. Talking about Ishizuku or Interspecies Reviewers. So ends my YouTube career before it even began. Now, if the intro in itself wasn't enough of a hint for you, one important thing to note about Interspecies Reviewers is that it is special, and I mean that in a colorful sense. Most especially in the gray and the green. It is the show of 2020 that rocked the natural order of things, and boy is it getting so much attention, be it for better or worse. Saying that it's causing a ruckus out there is a huge understatement. Oh, don't worry. You'll find out soon enough. Now, when checking out an anime, you'd be smart to keep in mind to always check the genre and read the synopsis before watching it. So, as the viewer, you'll need to know what you're getting yourself into so as to best respond on what to expect in the following episodes. Thus, I have taken it upon myself to give you a brief overview of the first 3 episodes. But if you want to skip directly to my impressions, you can do so at this period. Well then, without further ado, let the chaos commence! We are first introduced to 2 of our 3 primary protagonists. Stunk, a human adventurer. Oh my god, that name is somewhat appropriate. And Zell, an elf adventurer. I mean, of course, his name would be Zell because he's an elf with green eyes and is by no means referring to...
Of course, it's a reference to Zelda, you blithering idiot.
Right, well, as they were arguing about personal tastes, we are met with one of the most beautiful women to have ever graced the halls of anime history, Mitsui-san. So much so that even Zell is absolutely smitten over her. You'll just have to find out why.
It's a lie! Run, you fools! There are some things in this world that can never be unseen! Run while it's not too late!
On their journey through the forest, they slay a savage beast from killing a wounded angel, Crimvale.
Don't let his cute facade fool you. You'd be wise to keep a close eye on this one.
In return for saving his life, the 2 asked that he take them with him to heaven. A simple dagger to the back wouldn't be so simple enough. Curious, Crimvale asked why they'd want to go there. Well, their answer was fairly simple.
We're dying to know.
If they've got brothels up there.
You know, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Unfortunately, he couldn't fulfill the request since he lost his power when his halo broke during the attack. So, out of the goodness of their heart, they decide to take in the poor angel and promptly fed him to the cat and the bird.
I swear, this show makes Monster Musume look tame.
Surprisingly enough, the articles that Stunk had posted on the tavern started to gain a lot of attention of many adventurers, thereby giving him a lot of revenue from his work. And so he decides to invite others to join him in making new reviews about other races. Oh my god, it sounds so wrong. This pretty much completes the introduction of our three primary protagonists and the beginning of their adventures as interspecies reviewers. Good grief.
Hey, what happened?
Now, the first half of episode 2, we find our protagonists fancy themselves in reviewing some experience with fairies, because fairy bodies are apparently malleable for some reason, and physics is a myth. So they decide to visit a fairy brothel and get on with the review. But before they could continue, the attendant asks they first make measurements. Yes, it's literally that kind of measurements. Because surprise, there is a limit to how much a fairy could take.
No, Sherlock!
After this, they were free to proceed with the review, except one, Crimvale, whom the attendant denied because his package was too big for any of the fairy to handle, leaving him and his fellow reviewers in a state of shock. Which leads on to the next day, as the reviews left the readers absolutely dumbfounded. Not because of the fairies, but of the incomprehensibly curious revelation of how such a sweet, petite little angel could possess such a lethal weapon. Yes, it's always the timid ones that you have to look out for. As for the second half of episode 2, well... let's just say it is all about gravity. Just gravity.
What the hell is going on with this show? I swear I can't even.
At this point, I was already at a total loss for words of the level of unhinged absurdity this show kept throwing out. I was more than sure that the conservative mindsets out there seeing this were probably thinking,
How would these perverts feel if they were in the same position as the women?
Then, as though to respond, they released,
Ta-da!
through the wise counsel of a virgin reptilian, the protagonists set out to experience a new review through a woman's perspective. So they decide to visit a gender swap inn to find out, totally missing the point of the lesson. There they are given potions by the innkeeper to transform into women. However, said inn has a policy of confining their customers throughout the duration of the transformation so as to prevent any unwanted incidents whilst outside, obviously. And so, after their time self-reflecting, the group decides to check the catalogs to call in some associates to help them with their review. And no, they went the safe route, except for one, Krem, who seemed quite curious. As both groups met up, the associates couldn't help but be astonished as to why Crimvale would call on such a kind of an associate. As they point out, her kind, be it male or female, carried a special package, and that females had it bigger?
What?
These butch girls are about 25% bigger than the boys. But it gets really weird if you look between their legs.
Hyenas have pseudopenises, which are essentially extended clitorises that are as much as 7 inches long. For all intents and purposes, it looks like a penis and acts like a penis. It's definitely weird for females to have one of these.
The level of testosterone is extremely high in female hyenas, and the ones with the biggest penises have the most testosterone.
This weird body part might cause confusion for scientists, but they're not as confused as the male hyenas who want a piece of the action.
Think about putting a penis into a penis. That's not going to happen. She has to basically fold it into her body so that the penis can insert after that.
For male hyenas isn't just difficult, It's downright dangerous.
They don't just have to beg for they have to be extremely submissive and careful around the females, otherwise they're gonna get beaten up.
Female hyenas actually get erections in their penile clitorises, but the really cool thing is that they can pee just like a guy. How handy would that be?
The problem with these hyena pseudopenises is that it's a tiny little tube that the mother has to give birth through.
If you ladies think you have it bad, just remember it could be worse. You could have a penis, and you'd have to give birth through it.
I see. So, the real futas are real. I did not expect to get educated that way. Oh, the strange yet beautiful world we live in. We are truly blessed. Okay, let's be honest here, folks. There are definitely many things wrong with interspecies reviewers. There are so many brazenly risky and physically engaging moments unabashedly depicted in the show that tagging it as a softcore hentai would make so much sense. This show undoubtedly pushes the boundaries between what is an anime and what is hentai, to a breaking point that it has caused a great schism in the anime community, between those who condemn it and those who praise it. Attaining this level of attention both in fame and infamy is already quite an accomplishment in its own self. Rarely could an anime airing in January stir so much attention in such a short span of time. Now, if there was a way to get a bird's eye view of every battle being waged in every anime review and discussion panel scattered across the internet, it would probably look something like this.
The show depicts an unapologetic disregard for basic common decency. It glorifies prostitution and encourages others to casually indulge in degenerated acts of lasciviousness. What makes it even more appalling is that the show treats women as though they were nothing more but an object of sexual satisfaction. Calling it insulting would be a huge understatement. That's the point of being categorized in the ecchi genre. Lascivious acts are to be expected. Just as the horror genre must have people dying, or the romance genre must have people falling in love, the ecchi genre will obviously show people doing perverted things. Your mistake was still choosing to watch it anyway despite your passionate hate for lecherous acts. If you don't like it, then don't watch it. If it's so painful staring at the sun, then stop staring at it. And besides, while you advocate for basic common decency, we advocate for basic common sense to clearly distinguish reality from a work of fiction. Screaming at the poster of Darth Vader force-choking Baby Yoda wouldn't actually make him release it. It just makes you look retarded for screaming at a piece of paper. Instead of producing content that encourages compassion and respect, you would rather allow the spread of such degenerative content that only succeeds in contributing to the moral degradation of society. Entertainment is no excuse for ruining innocent lives. The denial of human rights and the suppression of free speech ruin more lives than a single ecchi anime. Furthermore, you are in no position to preach respect if you cannot even respect the differences of others. And believe me, casting away people who do not align with your views or ideas is not an exercise of compassion.
Wow, that argument was quite intense. Yeah, that pretty much sums up the arguments between the lovers and the haters of this anime? Hentai? Show? Well, regardless of where you stand, the internet is embroiled in a state of conflict. But so far, it's been relatively stable.
But not for long. Just look at them. I pull one tiny thread and their whole world unravels into chaos. Glorious chaos.
And just as Eris had envisioned, chaos had indeed been unleashed when Funimation had decided to cancel their subsequent streaming and dubbing of Ishizoku Reviewers, prompting Amazon Prime and most likely other streaming sites to follow suit. This caused quite the uproar that notable YouTubers such as Noxtaku and Lost Pause have been galvanizing their base to embark on a grand crusade to, and I kid you not, turn Interspecies Reviewers into the #1 anime of all time in my anime list. And my god, as of the recording of this video, the results they managed to muster are quite staggering. Get this, they have thus far succeeded in pushing Interspecies Reviewers into 4th place of the top anime series, 1st place in top airing anime, and 4th place in top TV series. Like, wow, the cause is absolutely ridiculous, but the level of effort and commitment invested upon it is rather commendable. So hats off to you, sir. Jolly good show. And if you want to see how the madness unfolds, please feel free to check out their videos regarding this. I'll leave a link in the description down below, and please leave a comment on the page saying that Dusk Raven sends his regards. Be it by the help of social media, the production company, the content alone, or by providence for some reason, there can be no doubt that Interspecies Reviewers has fired the opening salvos of Anime 2020. And so some of you might be asking, Raviel, did you enjoy watching Ishizoku Reviewers? Well, I'd be lying if I said no. I mean, I found myself laughing throughout the sheer absurdity of such madness. I found it quite to be entertaining to a shallow degree, but it came off as a tad too excessive for me. It wasn't really my cup of tea. So will I continue watching the series? Well, yes, because of sheer curiosity. That and I've already started watching the darn thing, so I might as well see it through to the bitter end. Wish I could say the same about the Funimation dub though. It was rather good. I mean, I understand and totally agree why they dropped the series, but the whole fiasco was ultimately their fault for not screening it in the first place. Genre tags and synopsis exists for that particular reason. The least they could do was man up to their mistakes and push on. It'd be more admirable that way, not just leave it hanging like it never existed. It's quite disrespectful to the accords made between the companies, and also unprofessional in terms of conduct. It leaves a bad precedent which will make other companies think twice before forming another contract with them. They really should have thought this through. And would I recommend it to other people? Well, that answer is relative. You see, if that person is highly principled or morally inclined of how things should be dictated, a total snowflake I should call it, then silence is the only thing that person shall hear from me. But if you are a reasonable and open-minded person who has enough sense to appreciate a good laugh, then I may. Not saying it's certain, but it's a possibility. And that has been my first impressions on Ishizoku or Interspecies Reviewers. I hope I did a good job providing some overview and context to the nuances surrounding the show. I swear I couldn't count the number of times I facepumped myself on making this video. It's just that absurdly hilarious. Especially that ambush education at episode 3. Oh, they caught me off guard. Speaking of episode 3, please don't forget to visit the YouTube channel for Nat Geo Wild if you want to see the full uncensored version of that clip. Yes, uncensored. So be a dear Raven and subscribe to them. Oh, and give them a comment on their page saying the Desk Raven sends his regards. And what the hell am I doing? I should also be promoting my own channel. So, my fellow mortal fools, if you enjoyed the video, then please give it a like and subscribe to my channel to be updated on future content. And as a follow-up on this video, please comment down below whom you think is best boy or girl in Ishizoku Reviewers. And if your reason is good or absolutely hilarious, then I will feature it in the video's release. And some things are just so predictable that I'm sure a lot is gonna answer Mitsui-san. I am gonna have so much fun reading the comment section. Again to you, my fellow mortal fools, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you all have a great day. And remember to always keep your mind open to countless possibilities. This has been the Desk Raven Raviel, logging out.